Hello everyone, and welcome to another Full Grown Impressions. I know it's been quite a while since I've done any of these, but since I'm between Let's Plays at this point, I thought this would be the next best time to go through my catalog and take a look at some of these games that I should have probably taken a look at a little while back, but like I said, probably the next best time is now between Let's Plays. Now today's game that we're going to be taking a look at is called The Raven: Legacy of a Master Thief, which was developed, I believe, by King Art Games, and it is $24.99, I think it's $24.99, on the Steam store, and it is an episodic game, and I believe there are going to be 3 episodes. Right now, the first episode is out, of course, I'm playing right now, and the second episode just came out within the past week or so, so if you want to pick it up, you have 2 episodes or 2 acts to look forward to. Now, basically what this is a point-and-click adventure game, a little bit in the vein, I would say, of a game like The Walking Dead, but the thematic elements are completely different, as you can probably tell just by the title screen. And the gameplay, if you want to call it that, I would say it's a little bit more of a classic point-and-click adventure game than The Walking Dead was. Of course, they are very similar, but I would say, like I said, this is probably a little bit more of a classic point-and-click adventure game. Now, I guess we might as well go ahead and just jump into the game here. The thing with The Raven, there are a lot of cutscenes, or not that many cutscenes. There's a cutscene, of course, at the beginning to kind of set the mood and the storyline going, but after that, of course, one of the hallmarks of a point-and-click adventure game, at least in today's time, is a bunch of voice acting, really good music, and not a lot of gameplay. So, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to take a look at this game yet. I have played quite a little bit of it, but there's a lot of talking from the characters, and because it is a point-and-click adventure game, one of the big strengths of a point-and-click adventure game is its, storytelling, its dialogue, voice acting, stuff like that, and puzzles, I guess you could say. Now, the thing is, I don't want to skip past too much of that, so I think this might be a little bit more of a hands-off look at, if that makes sense, especially, or at least until we get to the puzzles, which are after quite a bit of exposition and storytelling. But anyway, without too much more of me yapping at the title screen here, I'm going to go ahead and start a new game. As you can see, Chapter 2 is unlocked right now. Chapter 1 is unlocked, of course. That wouldn't make much sense for Chapter 2 to be unlocked if Chapter 1 was not unlocked. Right now, Chapter 3 is not unlocked. I've heard and I've read that Chapter 3 will be unlocked at the beginning of September. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into Chapter 1 here. We're going to be getting, like I said, a cutscene here at the beginning of the game to kind of set the tone and the plot in motion.
The Raven's heir. Soon as one of them's caught, another one takes his place. Hey, Harold, have you read this? Harold? 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 You hear me? This is no time for fun and games.
Shh, calm down. I'm a copper. We're on the same side.
A copper? What are you doing here? And where's Harold?
Harold? Well, there's another guard back there unconscious. That's probably him. The Eye of the Sphinx. Where is it?
It's there.
Oh, good. Then he hasn't got it yet.
You mean the Raven's heir?
Shh, turn it off. He's gonna steal the eye.
But how do you know?
Doesn't matter. All that matters is that we catch him. Do you understand?
Yeah, but
Do you understand? You and me, mate. We'll be heroes. All right, now, we just have to...
What?
Halt! Stop! You're under arrest!
Now then, as you can see, the introduction of the game is actually fairly action-packed. Now, one thing I want to point out about the introduction and what we're watching right here, I guess the opening credits, is that the cutscenes, from what I've seen, and this is one of my favorite tracks in the game right at the very beginning, by the way, but anyway, the cutscenes in this game are very laggy, and I'm not sure why. My computer should easily be able to handle these cutscenes. I'm not sure if it's like a configuration error, maybe with my computer or something like that, or even if I'm the only one that encounters these errors. But yeah, I was about to say, like, that was just happened right on cue as I was about to say that. If you look at the mountainside right there, the whatever you want, the trees and like the rocks or whatever glitch out every single time I get to this cutscene. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'm the only one that has these issues, but those issues are probably things that should not be happening. I get the feeling that the graphics in this game, and by the way, I was going to say the animations are really kind of janky and weird and kind of awkward, so that's one thing I wanted to mention. I don't know, it looks really good, and the weird thing is, like, the in-game graphics are not laggy, or like the in-game gameplay is not laggy whatsoever, but like right now, this does not look as smooth as maybe as it could be. It's not that it's even like a low frame rate, which it kind of is, but it's a very jagged frame rate. It's kind of weird, I guess you guys can see. But that's one thing that right away kind of is taking me out of the game a little bit, because I really wanted to get into the story and all that, and I am into the story, but it's just like very, I hate to say immersion breaking, because it's not like, I mean, I guess it is kind of an immersive story, but those graphics and the, you know, basically the jagged frame rate and the glitches and the graphics and the background and stuff like that are very strange. But now here we are in the actual game. This is kind of what the actual game is going to look like. As you can see, it is much more smooth. I'm going to go ahead and be quiet while these guys, you know, stick their tongues out at each other.
You don't look like a real cop. You don't even have a revolver.
Now then, I guess it was a not very much of a quiet time. A lot of the interactions in this game, you're going to have options like this. So we are supposed to be the role of this cop over here, and we're talking to this kid right here. So we have 3 options that we can pick from here. Of course, other characters and other situations are going to have different numbers of options. Let's go ahead and go through the options from top to bottom and see what this kid has to say.
Disturbing a Swiss officer while he reads a crime novel is a very serious offense. I could arrest you.
But I have a pistol, and you don't.
I'm not exactly sure if that's what you should be saying to a police officer, but anyway, let's go ahead and see who this kid is.
Where in the world is it so dangerous that I'd need a pistol? And who might you be?
My name is Matthew Miller,
And where are you from, Matthew Miller?
from Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. But my mom and I live in England now. She's taking care of some rich old lady. We're on our way to Venice at the moment. We're taking a cruise on a big ship.
Impressive. You've already seen half the world. I've spent my entire life in Switzerland.
Must be really boring.
Now, one thing I do have to say is that this dialogue is not meaningless. I mean, the kid's talking about his mother that is looking after an old lady that we'll meet in just a minute. But this guy, you know, our main protagonist, has only ever lived in Switzerland. Really boring. One thing that I think you will see throughout the first little bit that I'm going to show here, and I don't want to show too much because I don't want to ruin it, because of course it is an entirely story-driven game. It seems like the devices that are given to explain the plot are a little bit heavy-handed. And that might just be me, but it's just like the scene that they're trying to set up, the way they did it is just so kind of like in your face if you really think about it. Like I said, that could be just me. But let's go ahead and ask this little kid about his toy gun.
And what's with the gun? What do you need it for?
It's the Raven. He was gunned down, so now I need a pistol.
Dead birds don't need guns. Nor do live ones.
You don't know who the Raven is, do you? He's the greatest burglar ever. He stole paintings from the Louvre, and those priceless eggs with gold and diamonds and stuff. And Bobby Dobbs says he replaced the crown jewels with rhinestones.
I know who the Raven was. Although, I don't quite buy that bit about the crown jewels. You do know these days there are thieves far more dangerous than your old Raven. 2 days ago, a precious ruby was stolen from the British Museum. There was an explosion. A guard was severely injured.
Really?
Yeah. And you know what the papers say?
You talk too much, Constable.
Zellner, monsieur. Anton Jakob Zellner.
Or did he pull a gun on you?
No, monsieur.
Get a move on.
Inspector Legrand, it's a great honor to work with a celebrity like you.
We appreciate the support of the Swiss police, but it'd be better if you'd remain seated and keep an eye on things.
But, monsieur, surely I can be of assistance, somehow. I saw a safe being loaded.
We have everything under control. If you'll excuse me, I'll be in the first freight car at the back of the train for the rest of the trip.
I'm not here to enjoy the beautiful scenery. I am a good observer, and I have finally honed powers of deduction.
Thanks to that?
I watched the people on the platform in Zurich. I know, for example, that man over there is a violinist.
That would be more impressive if there weren't a violin case next to him.
And I believe that the gentleman in the next carriage is a German doctor on his way to Italy to take up a new position.
And what gives you that idea?
There's the rod of Asclepius engraved on his cufflink. And he's carrying a German-Italian dictionary.
Maybe he's just taking a holiday in Italy, following in Goethe's footsteps.
Too much luggage. And no, he's not retiring to Italy either. The suitcases are too shabby for me to believe that he can afford to retire in his late 50s.
All right then, Constable...
Zellner.
Constable Zellner. If you're such a clever fellow, what am I doing on this train?
Alright, I think I might as well go ahead and pop in here to explain a little bit about what's going on if it's unclear. Basically, this guy, Legrand, is a world-renowned, I guess, and that's one thing I want to touch on in just a second, but he is an investigator that caught, and I'm not sure if this is, they'll talk about it in just a second, so it's not really a spoiler or anything. He caught the original Raven thief or whatever, and so he's like a really well-known inspector or investigator or whatever, and this guy, Zellner, our protagonist, is really engrossed in this guy. He really likes this guy because, of course, you saw that he was reading a crime novel there. He wants to be a guy that solves crimes and solves cases and stuff like that. This is one of those instances where I feel like I was saying before how the story is given to you very heavy-handedly because it's just so not transparent that they're trying to set up our protagonist as, you know, the guy that looks up to the main, you know, this guy right here, he wants to be just as good as him. I'm not, like I said, if that's just me that I feel that way, it's just, it seems very heavy-handed to me. And in my point-and-click adventure games, it's not like I've played too many of them. I would rather the story be a little bit more transient, I guess, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue here. We have to examine, or we have to determine, it doesn't really matter as far as I know what option you pick, why this guy is on the train. And by the way, I already did tell you, he's not on holiday, he's not searching for someone, he's guarding something.
I think you're guarding something.
Oh, really? And what might it be?
Alright, sorry about that, guys. I had a little issue with the recording here. But anyway, he's asking why they were not, like, I'm not sure where I'm going to edit this, so I have to explain his last little bit of dialogue here. He said, why are there no police on this train if he is guarding something that, he's guarding something, that's what we've deduced. Why there aren't more people on the train to help guard it is now what we are about to explain. So why would there not be police on a train? They don't want to arouse attention, it's a trap, and more men are unnecessary. Like I said before, these dialogue options are not correct answers as far as I know. I don't think it doesn't matter what you pick, I guess it just affects the dialogue that you get afterwards. But anyway, let's go ahead and say maybe it's a trap. That's why they don't want more policemen on the train. They want to lure the criminal, assuming that's why he's on the train, onto the train.
It's a trap.
You've got a vivid imagination. I'll give you that. Well, that is impressive, I admit. But the fewer people involved, the better. We'll get along fine without you.
You won't.
Won't? Pardonnez-moi.
I can help, and I will help. You're in my country, and I have been ordered to assist you. And that's exactly what I'll do. whether you like it or not.
Clever and stubborn. Your commitment speaks volumes, son. But this is my show, and I don't need you. Voyage.
But how do you know? Oh, hello.
You cheated.
I did what?
I saw you talking to the German doctor on the platform. He told you everything himself, and you were just pretending to put 2 and 2 together.
And what of it? Do you know who that is? That's Inspector Nicholas Legrand. You have to impress him if you want to work with him.
I'm going to tell on you.
You'd really tell on me? To the very policeman who shot your dear Raven?
Whoa, it was him?
Mm-hmm. Hunted and killed Europe's most famous burglar. That's how he got his start.
I won't tell him a thing.
I wouldn't either. All right, Matthew. I have to do my work now.
Everyone calls me Matt. Well, except for my mom. She calls me Maddie, as if I were a little kid.
Whether Legrand wants my help or not, I'll keep my eyes open. Maybe I can change his mind.
Alright, now, there's an option here to learn about the tutorials. We don't really need to learn about the tutorials. I will just go ahead and tell you guys exactly what we need to do. Now, one thing that I thought was kind of weird is that these loading zones are always here between, like, the cutscenes and the gameplay. I thought that was a little bit strange and disjointed. One other thing that I want to point out before I actually get to the game, I feel like I'm being really negative about this game. I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just trying to point out, like, you know, the thoughts that I had while I was playing the game for the first time. One other thing that was kind of annoying to me was the lip sync is really not there. I mean, for a game that's mostly, I hate to say, like, about graphics and stuff like that, because, you know, point-and-click adventure games to me are about the puzzles, they are about the graphics, the music, and the storyline are pretty much the big four, I guess. The graphics are okay, I guess, but the lip sync is really, like I said, just not entirely there. The story is really good, the music's good, but I think the graphics department, they could have tuned up the graphics a little bit. Anyway, let's go ahead and progress here. Now then, we are actually in gameplay now, and I want to point out one thing before we get started here. If we go down to the bottom of the screen, we get our inventory. If we try and click on pills and use them, or basically, I'm not actually, maybe I should have done the tutorial. If you right-click the item, he will examine the item, I guess. So basically, he has pills for his heart or whatever, and his daughter told us to bring him along or whatever. We also have a wallet. He bought it last week at a flea market. I'm not sure. I don't think I've gotten to the point where I have to use that yet. It's going to be embarrassing if it's like, you know, 20 minutes into the game or something like that. Up here in the top right corner, we have a score meter type thing. And if we click on this right here, highlight all current hotspots, you have to pay adventure points to do so. First of all, we lose 10 points. Second of all, did you see anything happen right here? Probably not. I could not believe this the first time I tried this little option. If you click on highlight all current spots, you better look around really quickly, because not only do they, it's kind of hard to tell exactly where basically what this does is highlight the current hotspots on the screen. So if we click it down here, there will be or, you know, I guess on the window, basically we can click on this book, so I'm not sure why there wasn't one there. This guy gets highlighted over here. The problem with this is, it doesn't stay on the screen for very long at all. Second of all, it's hard to even see them in the first place. And third of all, I'm not really sure who wants a score-based mechanic in their point-and-click adventure game. That's not something that I've always ever thought of or ever wanted. This isn't Guitar Hero, so I'm not sure why we are dealing with a score-based mechanic. Anyway, I guess let's actually go ahead and get to the game. Now then, Legrand pointed out this book right here. If we examine this book, this is The Vicarage in the Mirror, I guess.
Detective novel by my favorite author, Lady Clarissa.
Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and skip through this, I guess, because this isn't necessarily important dialogue. If we try and collect it, sometimes the inventory gets in the way. He'll say he'll leave it there. Of course, that might change in a few minutes. Now, another couple of things here in the carriage or whatever, in this train car that we can examine, are this window. If we try and look out the window, I guess he's gonna look out the window.
We Swiss are crazy about trains. We don't just have a lot of railroads. We have the most beautiful ones in the world.
Now then, we can actually try and open the window, and if we do that,
Would you be so kind as to close the window? I don't want to sit and drive. Oh, pardon me.
Now that might actually come in handy a little bit later on. Now let's go ahead and talk to the violinist. Before I do that though, I want to, speaking of talking to people, I'm not sure if like there's a, I was going to say an options menu. It seems like, speech volume, I'm not sure if I turned this down or if it was like this originally, but I thought the speech was a little bit low in comparison to the music. So let's go ahead and turn that up. Like I said, I'm not sure if I turned that down or if it was already that low. If I turned that down, that's nothing against the game, but if that's how it was, I always thought that the voices were a little bit low. But let's go ahead and talk to the violinist over here and see what he's up to, basically.
Good-looking fellow. And he's traveling through the most beautiful mountain landscape in the world. But one can only hope that his violin is better tuned than he.
Now that is a Shakespearean insult if I've ever heard one, but let's go ahead and actually talk to the violinist.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
If I'm not mistaken, you're a violinist.
That's true.
A wonderful instrument. The violin music touches the soul.
That's why I learned to play it.
Do you play in an orchestra?
No, orchestras aren't really part of my world.
A solo violinist. The best soloists travel a great deal and make a pile of money, or so they say.
In that case, I'm probably not one of the best.
Are you traveling to Istanbul non-stop?
No. I'll transfer in Venice to a ship. I'm on my way to Cairo.
Cairo?
I'm performing at the reception in the Egyptian Museum there.
I'm sure your recital will be a great success. But tell me, did you notice anything unusual on the train?
Anything unusual?
Persons acting suspiciously, for instance.
For heaven's sake, is there cause for concern?
Everything is in order, sir. We Swiss are just very cautious people.
I understand. No, I didn't notice anything.
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
Alright, now that guy's acting a little bit suspicious there. I think we need to try and keep an eye on him, but let's go ahead and actually walk into the next carriage area, or the next train car. I'm not sure exactly, I've just been clicking on, the next area to go there. I'm not sure if that's how you're supposed to do it or not, but anyway, here we are talking to a professor, and let's go ahead and listen to this guy's dialogue as well.
Professor Edgar Lucian.
Oh, a professor? Are you a scientist? Do you teach at the Sorbonne?
No, I work at the British Museum in London.
You don't say. So, you were, shall we say, an eyewitness to the burglary 2 days ago?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, no?
Well, there was a lot of commotion, but I didn't really pay much attention to it.
There was a break-in in your museum, and it didn't concern you?
Well, let's just say that nothing that's happened in the last 2,000 years concerns me.
Whatever you say. The famous Inspector Legrand is on this train. I imagine you know him.
No, should I?
You don't know him? And you also don't know what he's doing here?
No. Why should I?
Just a thought. You're a representative of the British Museum. There's a guarded safe on the train.
I'm sorry. I don't know what you're trying to imply. And now, please excuse me.
May I ask where you are going?
Of course. To Venice. I'm going to meet some colleagues there.
Oh, Venice. A beautiful city, or so I'm told.
Indeed. But I really have to take my leave now.
Just one more thing. Did you notice anything unusual on the train?
Here? On the train? No. I can't say that I have. Although I did spend most of the time in my compartment.
I don't want to take
Alright, I guess we've talked enough to this guy right here, but this guy, there's one more thing that's going to happen with this guy right here. I'm just going to go ahead and skip through this dialogue, I guess. I said I wouldn't do this, but sometimes I guess it's actually necessary for me to show you what's going to be coming up. Now, for some reason, somebody locked his door and he does not have a key. Yeah, like how I said that just as I said that. But he doesn't have a key for some reason. I'm not sure why you would have a room that has a lock on it on a train if you don't get a key yourself. But anyway, we have to try and get this guy into his room. That's like one of the puzzles that we have to do. Now, one thing that I want to kind of mention is that when I talked about The Walking Dead before in comparison to this game is a lot more focused on puzzles, I guess you could say. In The Walking Dead, I don't really remember there being that many puzzles. In this game, there are quite a few things, you know, like I said, the classic kind of, you know, you gotta use this with that, on that, to open the door, you know, that kind of stuff. But anyway, let's go ahead and listen to this dialogue right here, because this lady is this guy's idol, or I guess one of his idols. He already admires Inspector Legrand.
Unfortunately, just a constable, Lady Westmacott. I'm reading The Vicarage in the Mirror right now, for the 5th time at least.
That's nice, Constable.
Zellner. Anton Jakob Zellner.
This is my companion, Miss Miller.
A pleasure.
Alright, so basically, if you guys didn't get the gist of that, this is the author of that book he was reading. What a coincidence. Let's go ahead and see what she's doing here.
May I ask what you're doing here? Are you on holiday?
Holiday? Yes, so to speak. The first and last holiday of my life.
Madam?
I've been writing since I was a little girl. It became my job, and now I've stopped. So, this must be a holiday.
You quit writing? Impossible. I have all of your books. Your Detective Partout is my favorite character.
Then I have bad news for you. I killed the old wretch off years ago.
I don't understand.
I'd rather not discuss my work, Constable.
Oh, well, fine.
Now, one thing I never really understood, not that I've given it, you know, hours and hours of thought or anything, but if this guy is supposed to be so, you know, observant, he was looking at the people on the platform, he realized that guy's cufflinks are German or whatever, and I forgot exactly what was up with that guy, but he didn't realize his idol author, you know, the author that he reads most often, was on the train. I'm not sure exactly how that works out. Maybe either that, I guess that's either like supposed to show that he's maybe not as observant as he thinks he is, or that's just sort of maybe like an oversight, considering the circumstances that we're in right now. But I guess it doesn't really matter where she's traveling to, or her fellow passengers, so we're gonna go ahead and say goodbye, because as much as we'd like to keep talking, duty calls. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and skip through this dialogue. Like I said, I hate doing that, especially because the dialogue is pretty much the biggest thing that this game has to offer, but I would like to show you a couple of little item interactions before we wrap up this video here. Now, if we go up to our complete the game meter up here, we can go ahead and click on the hotspot. I know where they are, but unless you kind of like drag the cursor all over the screen, I'm not really sure exactly how you're supposed to know where these areas are. I guess it's not really important for me to use that right now, but over here there is a glass of toothpicks that you can pick up, or you can pick up a toothpick. Now we're gonna go ahead and take a toothpick out of here. I'm not sure, like, I haven't played that many point-and-click adventure games, but it seems like the things that you're supposed to be able to examine in this game are very small and kind of unnoticeable. Obviously, the people are not unnoticeable, but that little thing right there, why can I not, maybe, for example, examine this one right here, or, you know, this one over here? I'm not sure how you're supposed to know, like, these little, tiny, specific little things are the things that you're supposed to be examining, and there are a lot of things that you would think you would be able to do that you won't, and maybe we'll get to those in a little bit of time. Now over here, we can go actually behind the bar, and there's one thing I want to show you guys about the butterscotch that is in this bowl right here. One thing that I feel like it just kind of, it's not a big deal by any means, but I feel like it shows a little bit of lack of attention to detail that before when I was talking about immersion with the graphical glitches and the bad frame rate, this is kind of one of those things for me. I don't know why, it just is, but rest assured when I show you this is not the only time this happens. It's happened, like I played the game for maybe half an hour, skipping through the dialogue of course, so I got a little bit farther than we are right now. But this happened a couple of times in the first little bit that I played the game, so I have to imagine that it happens quite a bit. If we examine the bowl, what he says does not match up exactly to what the subtitles are. Like I said, it's not exactly a big deal. But maybe I'll have to take it first. I forgot exactly what it is. I'm pretty sure it has to do with the butterscotch.
Maybe
if I just suck it. The dialogue or the subtitles say if just. Like I said, not a big deal by any means whatsoever, and it's kind of nitpicky. But I do feel that it is like I said, a little bit of a highlight that there was a little bit of a lack of attention to detail. But anyway, back here we can go ahead and examine the notepad, where we can pick up we can take the pencil from it. I was going to say, it looked like he was going to try and take the whole notepad. that will come in handy a little bit later on. We can actually examine this drawer right here, but it is locked or whatever, so we will have to come back for that. The drawer's locked and the steward probably has the key, so we have to find the steward, I guess, for that. Now, I'm not sure exactly how much more there is to do back here. I guess we could examine the butterscotch again, but we already took some, so that's not a big deal. Now, one thing that you can do back here, actually, is this little tiny sliver of a pixel back here. You can click on that to turn on the radio. And if you do that, I think I got an achievement for that. I really do like the music, though. I want you guys to listen to this for a second. Now, I don't know why, I like that tune a whole lot, but there's not really too much of a point in doing that, unless you want to go for the achievements in this game, which I did not think this game would have achievements, and I just happened to click on that, and I got an achievement. But anyway, let's go ahead, I guess, and exit from behind the counter here. Now, we could talk to this guy. I'm not sure if you have to. If we talk to this guy, I'm just going to go ahead and skip through his dialogue. As far as I can tell, this guy is not exactly the most important character. We can actually get his newspaper from him. So I'm going to go ahead and, I guess, skip through all this dialogue, like I said. For the third or fourth time, I really don't like doing this. But, like I said, it is kind of like the biggest offering that the game has. But before I end this episode, there's one thing that I want to show you in the next room over here that I can't show you if we spend, you know, half an hour talking to every single passenger on the train. But now that we have that, we can actually go in our inventory and read the newspaper, which I thought was actually kind of a cool touch. Each one of these things is a different article. This one right here, though, I thought you guys might enjoy. Let's go ahead and look at this announcement in the newspaper.
Luna's Drops, the calming herbal liqueur for women. A glass a day. It relaxes the nerves and maintains domestic tranquility. Luna's Drops, if you don't want to bother your husband.
I'm not sure what year this game takes place in. I think it's like the 30s or 40s or something like that. I just thought that was kind of a funny ad that they would have in the newspaper. But anyway, once we walk out this door right here, we are going to be outside the train. I think we should try and be daring and climb up the ladder.
The ladder leads up to the roof. It will be suicidal to climb up there while the train is at full speed. The wind, tunnels... No, I'll stay down here.
Now, obviously, this guy has not seen Back to the Future 3. I'm pretty sure we could get up to the top of this train. But anyway, I guess if he doesn't want to do it, we need to go ahead and enter the freight car here. And this is probably, after this little cutscene right here, where I am going to end the episode. Because this is probably the last bit of very important story, I guess, on the train.
Hello? Wow.
Don't move a muscle, you feathered fiend.
Put the gun down, Robert. If I may introduce Constable Robert Oliver from the yard. And this is the revered Constable Zellner of the Swiss police, who obviously couldn't control his curiosity.
Then I was right. You really do want to lure someone into a trap.
That's none of your business.
Perhaps that someone recently struck in London.
And how would I bait my trap then?
With an eye? An eye on its way from Zurich to Cairo?
Someone has done his homework. Well done, Constable.
I hope you'll acknowledge that I, as a Swiss policeman, can undertake investigations in my own country.
Are we still in Switzerland?
I could be your eyes on the train as long as you're here in the freight car.
Oh, really?
What do you know of this Raven's heir?
He tried to blow me up.
Robert, we don't know who we're dealing with yet.
In any event, the new Raven is a more dangerous man than the old one.
How do you know it's a man? It could just as easily be a woman.
Or several men.
And anyway, how do you know that it's a new Raven?
Monsieur?
Never mind.
There is a certain Professor Lucien on the train. He's an archaeologist from London.
And what's his story?
Well, it seems someone locked him out of his compartment.
Locked him out?
Well, yes. The door is locked and he's standing outside without a key.
Was it locked from inside?
It may have been. Do you think the locked door could be important?
Professor Lucien plays an important role in this story. Well then, Constable Zellner, be my eyes and ears on the train and see that Professor Lucien gets back into his compartment. Report back to me when you're through.
My pleasure, monsieur. I'll go attend to the door now.
Good. And, Constable Zellner,
Yes?
don't bother us unless you have something new to report.
Of course. A thief might get anxious if there's too much activity in the freight car.
Exactement. Knock twice. Then we'll know that it's you.
Understood. An investigation on behalf of Legrand that takes me one step closer. If I can convince him of my competence, I might even be able to see this case through to the end.
Now, I guess that is sort of our goal. We want to be in with Legrand. Of course, that was kind of our goal from the beginning, but now that's like our official goal. Our sub-goal is to go up and open up that door for that professor. But before we do that, might as well go ahead and try and open up this box right here. It has a padlock on it, and apparently you're not able to open it right now, so we're not going to do that. I think you can open this. I'm not sure. Yeah, I was going to say, maybe if we just get down here. You know, this isn't much safer than trying to get on the top, I guess. Unfortunately, this kid comes up behind us and tries to shoot us off the train. Apparently, this is a train robbery or whatever. You know what? By the way, Breaking Bad is doing really well right now in Season 5B. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and skip through this dialogue. Not all that important. We can go. We took his pistol away, basically, so that is something we will have to deal with a little bit later on. Now, I think I might just go ahead and end the episode here. The thing is, we are probably... I haven't actually been keeping a timer right now, but I think we're like 40 or 50 minutes into the episode or the video here. Not too much gameplay has gone on here as far as the puzzles that I've been talking about. I think that might tell you a little bit about how this game is structured. There is a whole lot of dialogue and a very small amount of puzzles from what I've played so far of the game. So thus far, if you're not entertained, I guess, you probably wouldn't like this game. And even if you are a fan of the point-and-click adventure series, or, you know, genre, I should say, I'm not sure how this stacks up to other ones that I've played. So, I guess, at a price point of $25, you'd have to truly enjoy specifically this plot, I guess. It doesn't do too much differently in the way of puzzles. As you can see, we're about almost an hour into the game so far, and we haven't seen any yet. The story is really cool, so if you enjoy that, I would say that would be your main reason for picking this game up. But I guess I will just go ahead and end this episode here, guys, or this video here. It's not really an episode unless you guys really want more of this. I don't think I'm going to be uploading any more of this game. But anyway, episode 2 is out, or act 2, I should say, of this game. So you have a little bit more than you would have had a month ago if you were to pick up the game a month ago. And like I said, act 3 should be coming out in about a month from now, I believe. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching this look at The Raven, and I want to see you guys back for the next video, whatever that happens to be.